Warning: this video will contain spoilers for James Cameron's Titanic and Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor. James Cameron's Titanic was a gargantuan success. It raked in billions of dollars and is one of the highest-grossing movies of all time. This success drove plenty to imitate it and try to replicate its box office-breaking triumph. Perhaps the most infamous of Titanic's copycats is Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor. Upon release, Pearl Harbor was panned, and it has grown a reputation as one of the worst blockbusters ever made. Why was this the case? And if Pearl Harbor was modeled after the acclaimed Cameron tragedy, why was it so bad? This is the question this video aims to answer. There are numerous factors that one can criticize about Pearl Harbor, and there are also plenty of criticisms one could throw on Titanic. But in this essay, we will focus on the two most important ones, the elements that truly separate these films. Those are writing and acting, more specifically, the characters and their arcs, as well as the quality of the actors playing them. It's not really a stretch to say that Titanic had a far superior cast when compared to that of Pearl Harbor. Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet are both Oscar-winning actors and each have several of their nominations, Winslet even gaining one from Titanic. And they make for much better choices for romantic leads than Josh Hartnett, Ben Affleck, and Kate Beckinsale. Not that these cast members are bad. I like Josh Hartnett and Beckinsale quite a bit, and both were at the height of their careers during the making of this film. Affleck, unfortunately, was not. Recently, Affleck has become one of the most acclaimed directors in Hollywood, and after his performance in Batman vs. Superman, despite the film's overall quality, he's become one of the better actors in the business as well. But this was well before all that. Affleck himself received one of Pearl Harbor's 6 Razzie nominations, and this trio also received one for Worst Couple. Pearl Harbor's supporting cast does fare better than its leads. Alec Baldwin, Jon Voight, and especially Cuba Gooding Jr. are highlights. Despite fine performances from this lot, it still can't really measure up to those of Titanic. Billy Zane, Kathy Bates, Frances Fisher, Gloria Stewart, and Victor Garber are the highlights here, with Stewart winning the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. This talent superiority allows Titanic to better render its characters and create convincing relationships. They sell the melodrama better than those present in Pearl Harbor, which is why this particular aspect of the script is less grating in Titanic. Speaking of the script, Pearl Harbor's writing falters on multiple occasions, but it is one key choice, one bad decision that ruins the film: the introduction of the love triangle. Randall Wallace and Michael Bay's handling of this aspect of the film destroys any sympathy one may have for the film's characters. In Titanic, James Cameron establishes Rose and Jack's love as a definite. While she's engaged to Cal, she's clearly not happy in her relationship, and at no point in the film does Rose ever feel the need to choose. As to her, the choice is simple. Only one scene, the one where Jack is framed by Spicer for stealing the heart of the ocean, actually tests their relationship by attempting to create a strife between the two. But this is short-lived, as Rose rushes to Jack's aid during the sinking without any hesitation. This mutual undying love is what makes Jack and Rose such compelling characters. From the moment they meet, it is clear they are meant for each other, and the relationship develops into a very believable and captivating fashion. This is why it is so devastating when we come to the realization that Jack will not survive their ordeal. Rose's reaction to his death makes it all the more tragic. Rose and Jack are modeled directly after the original star-crossed lovers Romeo and Juliet, and while they may be cliches, they're compelling ones nonetheless. Pearl Harbor approaches its romantic elements far differently. Rafe and Evelyn's relationship develops in far different fashion than that of Jack and Rose. While in Titanic about a third of the movie is dedicated to the beginning of and development of the central relationship, this element is handled in a matter of minutes in Pearl Harbor. Because of this, Rafe and Evelyn's relationship fails to develop in the very natural manner we see in Titanic. This is not the worst of Pearl Harbor's sins, however. The choice to introduce Danny into this love triangle by faking Rafe's death and beginning a relationship between Evelyn and Danny is the backbreaker. While it's true that Evelyn's relationship with Danny also fails to develop into anything compelling, that is not the major problem with this addition. The largest issue is the conflict that is created upon Rafe's return. The heated conflict over the morality of Evelyn and Danny's relationship will leave you hating one, two, or even all 3 of these characters, and it is impossible to become invested in a relationship between characters you just do not like. Because of this, Pearl Harbor has nowhere near the emotional stakes of Titanic. This becomes apparent at the very end of each film. While Jack's death is generally regarded as one of the saddest in film history, never is that of Danny in such great company. This is primarily because of what I had mentioned before. Danny is not the most likable character. While some may side with him in the key argument, others will absolutely hate him, which means his death has little to no impact. Even if one does side with him, as we mentioned before, his relationship with Evelyn isn't developed enough to the point of significance. The film also ends on a rather strange note, with Evelyn just defaulting to her original love interest after her chosen lover, Danny, dies. It's a bit of an unsatisfying ending, and one that makes it seem Evelyn never really cared who she was with, especially considering that her kid is actually Danny's. Ultimately, Pearl Harbor's introduction of excessive melodrama, combined with lackluster characters and performances, prevent the blockbuster from reaching the heights of its inspiration. Despite sharing so many similarities with Titanic, it cannot sell its over-the-top script in the same way, and the central love triangle ruins the gravity of the film as it renders the central characters unlikable. These flaws are what prevent Pearl Harbor from reaching the heights of its predecessor.